Hey, what's happening? DJ X got your usual select.
Start simply, nice and slow, but the current grows so quickly. Skipping stones I didn't throw, you're sinking beneath me. I try my best to pull you in, I'm kicking and screaming, you slip, and I wake up in a sweat to see you're next to me, still me like I was paid for. Always what you want and never what you need. Sacrificed all these sleepless nights. It's a goddamn shame. I guess I'm here to say I need some closure. Not enough to bring me back or get closer. 'Cause I don't think I lived through that. I need closure. Not enough to bring me back or get closer. 'Cause I don't think I lived through that again. I'd kill to sit and say nothing. You say it's never your fault. Let's carry on with your judgment. I know it's falling apart. There's nothing left of us. I guess I'm here because I need some closure. Not enough to bring me back or get closer. 'Cause I don't think I lived through that. I need closure. Not enough to bring me back or get closer. 'Cause I don't think I lived through that again. I don't think I lived through that again. I don't think I lived through that again. I'm losing, always excusing. We're in the dark now, won't let my guard down. I'm losing, always excusing. We're in the dark now, won't let my guard down. I need some closure, not enough to bring me back or get closer. 'Cause I don't think I'd live through that. I need closure. Not enough to bring me back or get closer. 'Cause I don't think I'd live through that again. I don't think I'd live through that again. I don't think I'd live through that again.
Yo, thank you for the follow. I am setting up literally everything right now, and I can hear myself. Uh, that's so weird. Oh, you know what? I have my own stream open. That's why I can hear myself. You can hear the cat too. Um, I'm trying to figure out how I can get this chat box to be thinner. And then I need it to like, see, I don't know how everybody else scales their stuff so well. Maybe it's just because my display is like awkwardly large for the window capture. So maybe what I do is I make this smaller. Yeah, probably. I don't know how. I don't know how to do that. I mean, yeah, I could F11 because that's usually what Scaling does when he plays. That actually does look a lot cleaner. Background. What I could do, I basically just need something to go in front of the chat, but I need it like smaller. But then it's like, it looks, at least on my screen, like it's unreadable. I mean, like at that size, it's unreadable. So maybe, okay, I got an idea. Embed. We're gonna make the chat messages fucking massive. They're gonna be huge, and then we're gonna have just a smaller chat window. Do that, then click here, refresh. Okay, now we're testing on YouTube, testing on Twitch. Still like a little muddy if I make it smaller than that, but I really don't want to cover up the... All I really want to cover is the chat that's behind it. So what I should do, let's add in... Oh, I have one called Chat Background. Where is that? I guess it's not currently shown. Okay, color source, add existing chat background here.
Got more music now, starting off with Unfamiliar by Currents, mixing some metalcore and gent vibes. Take a listen.
I know that. Oh. It's like Talishar's freaking out on me right now. Can I press Scar? No, it killed itself. Oh, there it is. Okay, if I lock that in place, is it readable on screen? That looks readable. It's not my favorite. Kyle, if you are watching, I saw that you followed. Not to creep on you. Thank you for the follow, first of all. But if you have audio on, is the audio good? Or is like music too loud? You can always bring that down just a slight bit. It's bound to get copyrighted unless I use copyright free, which means that I need to just go to Bill Murray and hit shuffle. Because I'm pretty sure Bill Murray is copyright free. Okay, and it looks like YouTube's actually keeping up with it, so I'm going to very quickly okay. So what we're gonna do is we're going to find a deck list to play, which I want to test this list. Public. And then we'll just see how things are going. It says I have no drop frames, which is nice at least. Did I press private by accident? Or does just no one want to play against me? Ooh, I would assume into Jarl I probably want some amount of D-reacts. Definitely don't want these. I like the 1 for 5. I dislike Blood Runs Deep. These probably feel fine. Ignite's definitely good. Maybe no snatches, because he's going to effectively block him anyways. We'll try this and see how it goes. Can end on that, and then that feels pretty good at least. Yo, Trent, how's it going? Yeah, I've been testing stuff like literally this whole morning so far, just trying to get everything working between YouTube and Twitch. Um, I used to stream on Twitch like a lot, so the fact that I've got it working on here is very nice. But it's going good. Oh man, they saved the block. I don't really... I mean, I'm not pushing mask this turn, but I still want to get the value off of the flick knives. So this is probably the most effective time to use it. But in general, I wanted to jump on here and test out some stuff on Talishar. Just because I want to practice, I want to get better, and the only way to do that is to actually put some effort in. These VTuber models are getting very realistic. Yeah, man. I have a VTuber set up. It's just that I have to go into Discord for it, but it's not impossible for me to set up again. Let me put this back. But I do, or at least in the past, I was doing VTubing a lot more. But I had other friends that were also doing VTubing, so I think that kind of like helped me want to do that. Also, by the way, if you see things in the background, my partner's sitting behind me watching, and there's a little kitty cat running around. Two kitty cats running around, but alright. Let's see. Create a frostbite. I got a sink. So my turn is Brand, Art of Dragon Blood, Ronin Renegade, but not a whole bit else. Create a frostbite, but that's at most what they're doing this turn. Sorry. Um, so I think that I could probably still commit the sink, and then yeah, I think it's probably fine. I don't have um, too much going on this turn anyways. There we go. We'll sink the other sink. Okay. So I'm probably not playing the Lava Burst this turn anyways. So, okay. So the best thing to do here, because I'm not going to have a full turn anyways, I'm going to keep the Lava Burst in, play the Brand. Yeah, I'm just playing Syndra because there's this list looks really interesting, and I saw that somebody had posted it on Twitter, and I was like, you know what? I'll try that out and see how it works. See if it's like actually effective or not. Okay. I feel like I Art of Dragon Blood still, even though he blocked just because it gets the go again, and then if he still tries to block out this, no? Hey, hey, how's it going? Okay, so he's still blocking out everything effectively. I'm just gonna Arsenal this Ronin Renegade. I don't think we're doing anything else too crazy anyways. I only have 2 Draconic Chains, so flicking here is kind of a waste as well, because I can't pick up my dagger if I don't commit to the Ronin. So I think we just close, pass, and set up a bigger hand, especially because he seems like he's willing to tax me. This seems fine. Yeah, that's fine. Let me just take the 6. So this is just if I played another red. I kind of think my turn is Rabble Blaze, Pitch Hot on their heels. Actually, hold on. So I could go 0, 0, 0, flick, gen off chest, hunt the hunter. No, because hot on their heels requires 2. So it's rabble, blaze, hot, hunt. I need to move the chat over here so I can see it easier. Okay. Stalagmite's annoying. And effectively blocks me. I think just because it kind of sets me back a little bit, I can still go blaze into Hunt the Hunter here. Yeah, it's probably fine. Blaze, we'll pitch this. This Jarl's really used his Frostbites really effectively the whole time. We'll flick this. I know that I'm not going to get this dagger back, but I think the likelihood of him like trying to get rid of the kunai while it's in yard is probably pretty small. Congrats. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was really cool getting to go to Europe, getting to experience everything there. It was definitely very different. Draw card. Freeze. Yeah, that's fine. No. That's interesting. That's an interesting card to be playing. Crumble. Okay. I'm assuming we're crumbling mask or flick. Yeah. Okay. So I want to hit 3 chains. I'm kind of thinking. I mean, every card in my deck is red here, so realistically, we should send 0 for 4, keep pain in the backside, and prep for the Ronin Renegade probably. I know that the display loyalty is not nearly as strong because he keeps taxing me so much, but okay, that's 1 attack that got through. Let's Ronin. Back into your arms. Oh man. Okay, so the Frostbite still is pretty annoying. I can flick here. Actually, I'm at 1 Draconic Chain Link, so this is still really not that effective. Trying to think. I guess if I flick here, pay the 1, then send display loyalty. I guess it just means that not using the fealty on the first card is a mistake. So let's see here. So I think the more effective thing would be keep hand, or I gen a resource off of a flick. Yeah, I think that's actually the correct play. Let's flick here. If he shelters, then I'm a little fucked, but we'll add a stain. And then we can display loyalty. We're at 2 Draconic Chain Links, but now I can still at least pick up with Syndra because I have the 1 resource. And we had a hit here, so if he wants to commit, I mean, he's got 5 cards. There's no way he doesn't block. But I at least get my daggers back to like set up for the next turn, and then we still kept the fealty. Okay, so we're getting probably dominated Mangle. Yeah, that is to no shock. Let's see here. So my turn is Fire Tenant, strike first, play Art of Dragon Blood. I'm losing Mask of Momentum regardless here, so I'm just gonna let it probably hit. Then it's probably, you know what actually would be really good is Fire Tenant, strike first, fealty, Pain in the backside, because then Pain in the backside comes in for a breakpoint plus potential hit. And then I can Rising into Art of Dragon Blood, and that still keeps me at 3 Draconic Chain Links so that I can flick and bring it back. There's, oh yeah, he's got a pummel too. Should have probably looked at resources. That's whatever. We'll get rid of, probably, let me think here. So here, or maybe I just end up fealtying this, then going, or fealty here, here, here. No, because then it's 1, 2. Regardless, I don't think I can hit 3 Draconics here. So maybe I just give whatever's the lowest power, probably the Rising Resentment, and then we lose the mask. And then we're going to... Okay, I could double fealty here, but I don't know that I want to because I've got a handful of things that still care about my fealties. So let's just... It does let me effectively use Flick though. No, we're gonna keep at least 1 around. I think it's probably safe to say that keeping 1 around is important. That's fine. We'll use 1. Then Pain in the backside for 4 with Go Again. On hit, smack him with a dagger. Okay. Here's a sink. That's fine. It's a good time to get the breakpoint out of the way. I actually think with them on a 3-card hand, Tunic's not up, they're down Stalagmite. I probably just put this in here because I can use it as a starter for the next turn. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I know we're even on life right now, but... Okay, so we're on Oath into probably Hot on their heels. Or maybe I go 4, fealty 4, hit, then here, then see if I can maybe march. Oh, well, love that too. So let's see. I forget that I'm just going to get frostbitten for the rest of the game, so we're going to probably need to block this. I don't think I'm hitting Lava Burst, so Lava Burst is the easiest of the cards to go here. So maybe we just end up blocking here and Hot on their heels, and then my turn ends up being Oath of Loyalty, fealty this, March of Loyalty. Or I just go Oath March. I think that's yeah, that's probably fine. Or Oath. I could just, yeah, we'll see right here because I have to pay 1. So maybe the effective play is fealty play AOD Blood March, and then keep the Oath of Loyalty in. Yeah, let's do that for right now. See what they do. That's fine. Getting mangled again. Oh, not getting mangled again. Did he already block with one? Does he only have one? Or he has the other one in hand? See, I like these 0 for 4s, but so far this is like probably the worst matchup that this deck could possibly take. And that's mostly just because Frostbites are rough when your entire deck is red. Cause like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's like quite literally the worst matchup possible, but that's okay. Trent on your side, man, he's lined up the Crumble to Eternities like next to the block that grabs a mangle each time. It's wild. Okay, so I definitely want to keep the sink below, so probably what we want to do is Fire Tenant, pitch the Wrath, and then we'll just Blaze Headlong after that. We're still leaking a lot of damage. I don't remember if I finished my train of thought there with you, Trent, but is the YouTube stuff working well? I just want to make sure that it's coming through clean. I think it's so interesting that he's like blocking as like intentionally as he is. This is fine. I'm definitely getting frostbitten here, like 1000%. Yeah. So we're looking at 6 when it hits, create a frostbite. So the most effective turn that I could have is Oath, pitching the pain in the backside, ignite. Yo, Russian, what's going on? Thank you for the follow. We're floating one, we have one card, so this isn't some stupid pummel play or whatever. Or actually, do I give him pain in the backside here? I think I maybe give him pain in the backside, because Rabble in deck represents 4. Yeah, Rabble in deck represents 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and then we'll sink. Oh, I forgot I have a Frostbite. Man, I love this game so much. We still want to block regardless. So let's put Rabble back in still. My turn still ends up being pretty solid though, because I can go Oath, assuming that he doesn't Blizzard me, which of course he probably does. We're this deep into the deck and he hasn't Blizzard me once. That, you know, I couldn't have called it cleaner. Oh, and he has the sink. That's wild. Alright, well at least with the Frostbite here, we're going to pass and get rid of it and set up this Ignite. This hand's looking pretty decent. Unfortunately, this is what's happening. We're just getting frostbitten out the ass right now. Looking at 9. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could potentially go... because I definitely want to keep the Ignite here. And probably start on it since it resets the... We've got a I'm gonna really quickly skip the one that might actually get me DMCA'd. So my thought process is if I give them Blood Splatter, Dragon Scaler, 1, 2, 3, that's 5. Thinking. So that's 5. Then Shelter, that's 9. Then on my turn, I Ignite, pitch the Hot on their heels. I can Kunai for 1 for free, and then display loyalty, get myself a fealty. I'm not really effectively able to use my I forgot that I have a freaking frostbite. Sure. Frostbites are so annoying, man. Why is it that when I'm playing Syndra of all decks that the first deck I play into is Jarl? And he just constantly is doing this to me. Yeah, no, it's fine. I will not pay. And now we're gonna get double frostbitten constantly. What does this even do? This hits a hero, create a frostbite, and they're exposed. Okay. So it is. So I can go here, Shelter, and then my turn can be Rising, display loyalty, and just set up. Yeah, let's do that. Although he's probably just gonna like do degeneracy against me next turn anyways to prevent me from having an actual turn. Although I did hit 2 blizzards in a row. I feel like I'm pretty effectively keeping cards in deck that are like impactful. It's just a matter of whether or not we'll actually get to the point of using them. Okay, Rising. Rising's gonna take no banish. We actually hit, which is shocking. Display loyalty here. Thanks for joining, by the way, guys. I appreciate getting to stream and kind of talk through some stuff. I'll probably jam a little bit more of Syndra, and then we'll kind of see we'll see what happens after that. How many pummels have we seen? One there. So I'm almost guaranteed getting pummeled here. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Goodbye to that. Let's see, goodbye to Hunt the Hunter. Oh no, I can't even play Hunt the Hunter because of the frostbite. And then do I pay 2 actually and just take a turn off and then keep these cards in deck? Because the frostbite's gonna make it to where I can't do anything anyways. So I think I do pay 2 actually. I can't get through essentially a triple pummel though. That's just insane. and I'm on an all red list into a Jarl, so like that already feels pretty bad. I'm surprised that we're at turn 12 though, and that I'm like actually still in it at this point. Tunic, okay. Is he just like summoning me or something? Yo, aggro, what's going on? Stream is looking good, thank you. See Wolfgang on YouTube? Just saw that pop up. How's it going? Well, we got a handful of do nothing, and I am probably dead anyways. A nice little dominated. I'll just take it. We're at that point in the game anyways. It's fine. I'm already being taxed to hell here on every card I play, so hit me with the last blizzard, and then I can just concede and get on with my life. Um, but thank you. I'm trying to like figure out stuff. I'm not super happy with like the layout of everything, um, but it's at least doable. So I'm not, you know, not not unhappy with it to like extreme extent, but trying that 0 for 4 Syndra list right now that I sent over to you. I feel like it looks fine mostly what I've been um, from what I've been playing so far. Um, into Jarl, obviously this feels pretty bad. Um, it's interesting. Um, why did Rising... Oh, Rising 0. Of course. Um, yeah. Yeah, because Fire Tenant Strike First is not a... okay. Well, at least we can get on with our lives. Let's check out... you know what? I'm gonna do at least one more. We'll do at least one more Syndra. I need to go through and remove like all of these old lists that I don't play anymore. Because I'm pretty sure these are the only ones that I'm actually using right now. Kano. Competitive CC public. Okay. Try and get in here. But I would like a game that's not Jarl. Yeah, this is a game that's not Jarl. Maybe that all you got's not terrible into new, just to block some daggers. I'm not sure how I feel about Blood Runs Deep. It is a 0 for 4, right? But I'm not really getting taxed. They're not really going to replay. Well, actually, Snag's probably in the sideboard specifically for this matchup. So I should probably just bring that in. Good luck, have fun. We'll just do this. Um, let's see what they do. If they give me a full card for this kunai, that's pretty wild. Okay. So what we could do, hear me out. I get pretty effective use out of this Blood Runs Deep if I pitch this kunai, because then I'm on 2, this is 3, then I cut through. So I actually think it's probably worth it to just dagger, and then Blood Runs Deep. Plus it's the one Blood Runs Deep in the deck. We flick both of them. We're going to say no, and then we're going to say no. But like we still leak 2 damage on the first turn, which feels pretty good. And then I can bring back both my daggers, and maybe I just set up the cut through. Give those both back. I think setting up the cut through is where I want to be. He's blocked literally everything this turn, so I think just setting up a 5 card for the next turn is probably the best thing I could do. Also, drawing 2 1 costs in the first turn is pretty bad. But that's why we're testing this, right? So I'm thinking Fire Tenant. I never block Beckoning. Beckoning's a trap. See what they try and hit me with. Levels is always annoying. I'll draw a card. Come on, man. Unless their hand is just good. Yeah. I can't think of a single time where you wouldn't just choose draw. This is just vanilla damage, so I don't care. This sucks. I don't want to give him 2 cards, so I'm not going to put a card in front of it. And then we just need to hope that he banishes like the one of the 2 snags. Gives it go again. You haven't played a blue. Oh no, he did play blue. He played levels. Okay, so we'll banish. I kind of like keeping this to set up. So probably Ronin, since it's essentially the same as Brand here. Well, he's drawn 2 cards this turn. Okay, but he has no effective way of using it. So last card in hand must be pretty bad. Or it's Codex, yeah. Which, what does he have as a Codex target? I guess the... Was this in Graveyard? No. Oh, he just gets to triple blue pitch a Levels Enlightenment. Okay. Dude's just getting the craziest draw there, actually. Yeah, why not just hit me with the bonds too? You got the ponder anyways, so. Jeez. I didn't know I was playing an aggro new. Good thing he drew 4 cards that turn. Yeah, we still just do this line. I think this is fine. Yeah, because we still have 4 attacks to throw. And this is a 4. Unless this is a D-react. Okay, so we're not hitting with Mask this turn, which is fine. Yo, Brand Burb, thank you for the follow. I just realized that I don't know that I set up on Twitch. I think I'm under the art category. Let me fix that really fast. I didn't even think about that. Let's make that Flesh and Blood. There we go. I didn't even think about that. How's it going, Brand Burb? Okay, so we did not hit them. Let's get myself a fealty here. I only have 2 Draconic Chain Links. We need to keep that in mind. So flicking here is actually a risk. Not going to stay long, but want to say hi to my fellow pub goer. Yo. Were you one of the dudes from the Scowling Dinner? We're gonna keep the cut through. Yeah? Which one were you so that I can put a connection to it? I'm still bad with connecting names and everything, so CNC's pretty fine here. I mean, we lose cut through, but it's not like the end of the world. And this dude's just high rolled the shit out of me on that first 2. The dude right next to you. So you're the German guy. If I'm remembering correctly. Yes, awesome. Okay. I'm glad I remembered that correctly. So what we could do here, I feel like we actually have a pretty effective turn. It's just that we're going to have to use the chest piece a lot. So we're going to ignite. We'll kunai for free. Get a resource. Hopefully. We'll see if he's wanting to block this or not. Okay. Maybe I just set up the Wrath. Because this is... What was my first? First was Ignite, so this is second Chain Link, so... Add a stain counter. I think I do. Because this is 2. Now I have a resource. Thinking through how to play this is complicated. So if I fealty the cut through, then I can flick the kunai that I had first, get another resource, bring it back, Wrath, swing both for free, then play Hunt the Hunter. I might be thinking of the damage wrong. Because I don't think there's an effective way where I can have an extra dagger swing here. I mean, I can with like Dragon Scaler, but I think that's still kind of niche. I'm gonna try this. See how this goes. Yeah, it was really nice to meet you guys. That whole experience, getting to go out to dinner and everything, was really, really fun. I know both me and my partner consider that to be like one of the like highlights of the trip. So it was really, really cool. Let's bring back that dagger now. Seems like they really want to avoid. I was gonna say, it seems like they really want to avoid blocking, but I guess they were waiting for this chain specifically. I still have a pretty strong turn here. I'm like questioning whether or not it's worth Dragon Scaler here, and I feel like it probably is, but it's only 2 damage. So maybe it's not. Maybe I just hold the Dragon Scaler, because this is kind of like my big turn to go back to their big turn. And if they don't block this kunai, then me sending 5 here at the end requires potentially both armor pieces plus a card from hand if they don't have a D-react. Yeah, okay. So like regardless, I think we're not triggering mask. He's just effectively trying to block mask that turn. We got a snag at least. I think this is probably the safest Dragon Scaler block I will ever get. So we can force them into using Tunic here. Do I use the snag is the question, because I can use it also to, because like my turn's pretty dead. Let's see what they do. I kind of think it's worth it to snag here, because otherwise he's just taking away my turn completely anyways. And then my turn can be like hot on their heels, play the Ancestral Empowerment, hopefully draw cards. Yeah, I think it's worth it to snag here. As silly as it is to snag here, like I think this is still the most effective use of the snag, because it prevents what? It prevents them gaining probably at least 1 life, and then also taking one of the cards out of my hand. So Ancestral, I almost want to send Art of Dragonblood, but I have a mark here, so I think that sending Hot on their heels is probably correct. Yeah, because then we just get a nice little mark blowout here, unless he wants to discard. Yeah, which I don't think he does. So that's 1. I really still can't do too much unless I want to double pitch. He's on 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. I kind of think I want to bring back my daggers. I think it's, shoot. Hold on. Sorry. Clicking through things too fast. And then we can just end the turn that way. I know not keeping an arsenal leaves me more vulnerable to Codex of Frailty here, and he's already played, okay, he's only played 1 levels. I think I still just take this. The Ancestral's looking a little awkward in my hand right now, but maybe we just effectively try and use it as a 3 block here. Just because it only, yeah, that's fine. Because Ancestral only, yeah, that's fine. You're just hitting me for damage here. I really don't care. The likelihood of you hitting my singleton other snag is extremely low. So we can at most hit 2. What could be smart is to go to triple fealty here. Maybe I start off on Rabble, see how they block. Because if I triple fealty, then I can effectively use flick knives. Let's go ahead and use it. We're going to make this guy draconic. Ronin on top. Okay. Didn't full block, so that means that we're still pretty safe there. So let's Blaze Headlong. I'm assuming this is D-React. That's surprising. Is this Pro Tour London? No, I'm not the champion. I did fine though. Unsubbed? Wow. That's rough. So we actually get a double draw here. Ancestral gives us... let me tell him I'm thinking. Ancestral gives us a Ronin Renegade, and then we flick. Let's flick first and see what they do, because it's possible that they're holding a shelter in hand, and if they have shelter in hand, then like that just completely blows us out. Okay. So we're gonna say no there, then we're gonna ancestral, and then now see if they shelter. No. Okay. So now we draw from mask. Okay. Pretty effective turn usage here. We don't need to banish anything. I'm not concerned about that. I'm kind of thinking, because they have 3 here, they're probably trying to keep some semblance of a hand, and Ronin Renegade's like an extremely good starter for us on the next turn, so we probably just end here and arsenal the Ronin. Because this at least smacks him with the kunai, and then we'll just buy back the other dagger right now. Poke. So many big cards. Okay, there we go. What do I think of Jarl? I like him, but not sure how to build. I personally have never built Jarl. I'm not much of a Guardian player, if I'm being completely honest. The question is, do I think he's good? Yes. I think he's about to get a lot better, especially... there is no VTuber model. There is not a VTuber model. Do you want me to... You're the second person to come in and ask about the VTuber model. You want me to... Here, I'll turn on the VTuber model. Give me 2 seconds. Here. You can see it there, but it's right in the way. Here, we'll put it up here, and we can pretend that we have a second thing. I do have a VTuber tag, huh? Darn. Y'all caught me. Okay. Oh, no. Oh, no! This is like the worst hand. Oh, well, at least we're not getting codexed. If he sends Leave No Witness, right? Then this is like actually the greatest hand. Yeah, let's go. Okay. Yeah, we'll double block here. We drew a clunker anyways. Best model on the market and an anime girl. Yeah, exactly. Let him ponder. How you doing, Omega Blighter? Yeah, this the little VTuber model that I've got is model that I used to use when I played VR chat a lot, actually. Um, little bit of degeneracy there. Um, how many codexes have we gone through? One? Two? They're on a 4 card. Do I just leave the March of Loyalty for Arsenal, or do I send it? Doing fine. Should post some kind of a slop on LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn slop is interesting. Actually, not the worst hand. Okay, how are you giving this go again? With the stilettos? This is a weird stilettos use. Or he's just trying to insta-kill me. Yeah. This does 2 to me, right? Okay. LinkedIn slop is definitely a is definitely interesting. At least there, yeah, at least there is no transcend. The transcend would absolutely demolish me there. But I mean, like, the Rabble's not doing a whole lot for me because I'm starting on Oath. So this is just them trying to effectively block as much as they can. Um, I'm questioning whether or not it's worth it to flick. Probably not, because like I'm still sending a ton this turn. Personally, I cannot wait until New is just dead and in the ground. She's so miserable to play against. I just absolutely hate playing this deck. Okay, do we flick now? I think because we're going to go 4-4-5, maybe? Or actually, we save it for probably one of the middle chains, because he's pretty ineffectively using that. That all you got here. Don't think New is good currently. I think she's pretty solid. This is the first time I've thrown March of Loyalty with Go again. It's kind of sick, not gonna lie. I like 0 for 4s with Go again. Believe it or not, played Aurora for quite a while. You have a topic you're passionate about, so your post could be helpful. Do you mean like in a very genuine way, like that they would be helpful? Because we've hit twice. This is a pretty effective use here. What is the topic you're passionate about? You got me curious. Also, I'm not sure if I finished my thoughts on Jarl or not earlier when we were chatting, but I think Jarl is really, he's set up to do well in the next meta. I just don't know how effective he will be going forward with like Florian, because like he has to beat Florian, right? And Florian's like the scary piece of unknown at this point. So I think that's where a lot of questions kind of come into play. He's already used 2 Venomous Bites here. So I don't think we can effectively play around it. I'm still thinking we probably give him 4, of course. It's possible last card in hand is like a Transcend card. So maybe what we do is we just give him like Vest plus Lava Burst. Actually, if it's the +1, Transcend, then we kind of die here like awkwardly. But I really don't want to give up Flick Knives. I've heard that pro players don't have much troubles into Florian. Florian's pretty good. The Scepter deck is like actually really strong. Um, yeah, I can't play around that. This is fine. Yeah, the Florian Scepter is really, really interesting. I'm like not a huge fan of decks that feel like they don't actively want to like interact in the game. I think that that's just kind of silly. Like, why have a deck that just sits back and does nothing the whole game and just generates rune chance until they just one-shot you? Um, I think that that's kind of boring, personally, but that's just me. Um, Mega, you said passionate about developer experience, CI/CD tooling, linters, build time optimize. Okay, so you're like actually genuine. You could put like a banger post out on um, on LinkedIn. We're gonna swap over to we're gonna swap over to playing an actual deck. Um, Sigil kind of sucks here. Let's see. What is like the weakest card that I have here? Like some of the no blocks. And I like Exudes here just because it prevents them from de-reacting me the whole game. Is Purg good? No. Crown's good. Tunic's probably better because it's a long game. There we go. Isn't Shelter good? Yes, but I don't really want to be de-reacting. I want to be more aggressive in this matchup. Shelter I bring in for like aggro matchups. Or decks where they're going really tall. Which, I mean, New does go really tall, but I would rather just let them do their bonds than try and block it out. I don't think I can ever, like, truly effectively block out a bonds turn. Like, I'm just gonna get, like, wrecked on a bonds turn no matter what. You know what I should have taken out is this card. This card's terrible. It's like the Slippy Mario case. Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Well, that's pretty good. I guess I keep the somersault and I just like... God, I really don't want to... I really don't want to pop snaps like right away. They're just saying if you have it, you have it, or they have the D-React. They're sending a full Fate for Scene at that. They're losing 2 value on that Fate for Scene. That feels pretty bad. They have 4 cards in hand. I'm kind of thinking I just 7. I just 7 and then I say, if you want to block it out, you can block it out. Because you already lost 2 value. And now I'm getting +2 on this. So you just lost that 2 that could have gone here. I mean, granted, had they blocked it, or had they not blocked it and I had gotten an extra card, maybe I play out this turn completely different. Like, maybe I do actually send snaps there. Oh man, they're gonna give me an equipment block too. Super good, and then we still get to keep the CLV around. I like that. Although drawing a absolute dud hand feels bad. I mean... Okay. New doesn't trigger here. Yeah, this hand is bad. Maybe we actually crown a card away here, which feels like a pretty ineffective use of crown. But I could actually know what I could do. He has no resources, so he can't arousing wave. It is called arousing wave, right? Yeah. Maybe I give him grasp arcanic, somersault the arcanic, or yeah, somersault it back. Grasp static shock, not arcanic. And then just because new doesn't trigger on this because it's not a stealth card. And then like I play the static shock lightning press. And then whatever card I draw, I pray that it is lightning. Where are you? Where are you? There we go. Goodbye. Unfortunately, it doesn't just get rid of it on doesn't just get rid of it on the chat below me. I'm used to when I do that, it like times them out. Maybe if I click timeout, does it do? No, it doesn't. It just doesn't remove the chat. That's weird. Okay. Okay. Let's draw a lightning card. Simply just be better than the opponent. Like I said, let's just simply be better than the opponent. Simply be better. Smack me. Smack me so I can use this scar for a scar. This is weird. Maybe that fixes it. Yeah, there we go. I'm wondering if I actually block grasp here. It's like maybe bait. Because it's possible that this is just like Codex. I think this is bait. I think I saved my grasp block. He's got okay. I think we just say yeah. I don't know that I want to give him too much here. Okay, they're not going to put me lower than them, so Scar for a Scar isn't super effective. I could potentially set up the Arc Lightning depending on what they banish here. So they banish a red. Okay. So they're going to take probably, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but they're going to take one of these two cards. It's also possibly the incorrect play to get rid of the Scar for a Scar there, just because Arc Lightning doesn't do a lot for me this turn. But Lightning Surge at least says throw a 4 block in front of me, or at least a 3 and a 1, right? Otherwise I'm drawing and then I'm still continuing this turn. But I also do have Tunic for Starfall, so like maybe there's still... Actually, they just straight up made an incorrect play there from banishing Entwine, because now I get Starfall with Go again. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Lightning Surge would have been more correct. Yeah, I don't give a shit with that you got that all you got. Ooh. I do not want to close the combat chain. I don't want them to draw a card yet. We'll send the Surge and then just arsenal the Arc Lightning because I'm pretty confident that they're just like setting up a codex here. We put ourselves even with them. Put this in arsenal or that. So thankfully we got a second, but we'll just tuck this guy and call it a day. And they banished a yellow off the top. That's hella good for us. Okay. Do I need to go again? I can go Arc Lightning, Burn Up. Or maybe I just keep the Burn Up for the next turn. Because like I can Arc Lightning, Current Funnel. Or Arc Lightning, E-Strike. Burn Up into Spec into E-Strike. That's kind of what I was thinking. But like if I Arc first... It's like E-Strike bottoming the current funnel, drawing a card, and then we just see what happens. Yeah, I think that's probably correct. Yeah, we'll burn up Shock. Omega, GA on E-Strike is worth more because we don't need the funnel. Yeah, that's fair. Omega, what chat are you from? Or did you just actually stumble into me? Because I posted in aggros and scowlings. Okay. We're going to draw a card. Serenade is possibly the best card that I could have gotten here. That's crazy. Your nickname's just Blighter there. Okay, got you. So we definitely press here to force their hand because this is going to deal 6 effectively. Plus the go again. And then we'll Embodiment Skizik. Get an extra 1. We're down 1 Skyward from an earlier banish. But this is a really, really good turn overall. We have no other things we can do. And like we still, I was gonna say, we still have a CLV in deck, which is pretty nice. This is like the most vanilla Beckoning Mistblade, but like this hand is a hand of all time. They draw a card. Okay. I feel like this is still just vanilla damage that we just don't care about. You know what might actually be the play here? Bonds. Yeah, that's fine. I was gonna say. Okay, so I think what we do here, just because our turn's kind of ineffective otherwise, we burn up, we pitch to Starfall, they're forced to block it, and then we can set up a CLV, or actually if they choose not to. So if we send CLV out and then burn up, we can just see what they do. I think that's the correct play. CLV, send burn up, both modes. They're probably going to AB. Skizik is a lightning card. Okay, they just don't. We get a burn up for next turn. So what we do now is we just go smack you for 2. They're blocking Mask? Okay, we're down 1 Skyward in Banish, so 1 Skizik is less effective. So I'm just going to send this for 3 because I'm pretty confident they are going to block it. then blocking with Venomous Bite when I know that they have bonds in their arsenal is kind of insane. This is like the worst time for me to have Somersault. See, I'm a bad player sometimes, but at least I know that there's a bonds there that I have to play around. So I think the most effective thing I can do here actually is just pass the turn, um, and just make him have it. And then if he takes some cards from me, then it's just whatever, you know. Um, like I said, there's not really any world where I'm blocking 10 to like get around what he's doing. So he can effectively take, I've used, I think, none of my current funnels so far this game, so it's probably the correct choice. Skyward is definitely not the correct choice, as Somersault's also probably not that great. Um, I've used 2 E-Strikes as well, so like him choosing E-Strike is just 1. Yeah, I think blocking Mask there is like so ineffective because I've already drawn. And I have this set up for next turn. So like why are you blocking 2 there? Especially when you could just like Tunic Undertow Stilettos. You know? It's just like it just seems weird. Prevent burn up 4 damage. Yeah. So he just takes the E-Strike, which is just 1. Tunic and Boots is yeah, it's a much better block, and like he had the or maybe he just hit 3. I wasn't paying very close attention to that side of it, but um, like I feel very confident that they are going to use Tunic to prevent this. Yeah. And then we've got 1 Skizzik left in deck. 1, 2. Yeah. So the correct thing to do would be do this first. That way I don't accidentally draw it, and then that card becomes ineffective. So we Skizzik here. And then what I can do is I can actually Somersault the Skizzik back to my hand. Because it's just quite a bit better right now, coming back to hand, because I have current funnel. I can actually send the current funnel for 2 and still effectively keep up the Tunic. But actually, the last action card you played was Lightning, which is this. So I can actually Starfall in between here to force an extra block. And I feel like this is probably where they give Tunic Stilettos. Okay. Are they giving Tunic Stilettos now? Okay. Are you going to give me 2 cards? They're preventing a burn up and a CLV for 2 cards here, which I think is probably worth it for my opponent, but like it's possible they're just like stuck on Chi or something. It looks like they might. Okay. I think that is the correct play. So we Arc Lightning, Static Shock. This turn feels pretty good. They did nothing on their turn, so I think it's pretty fine to do this. Okay. This doesn't really need go again now. So what we can do It forces extra blocks out early, actually. So let's go for this. Nice. Never punished. Then they'll prevent one. Then we'll scar, which still has go again because they didn't take the damage, which is pretty nice for us here. I am counting 1, 2. I'm thinking we're in danger of getting fatigued. Yeah, I'm at 28 cards. I'm kind of thinking I keep. Kind of thinking I keep the rabble here, which ends up working out pretty well. Sure, bro. I was gonna say, are you gonna triple react me with one card in your hand? So I think we can start pretty effectively here on Arc into Snatch. I know this is our last Arc Lightning, but like this still gets us a lot of value here because we can Snatch with the Somersault still, and then send Snatch again with Go Again because we still have our Snapdragons. Yeah, this is a great hand. I am a billion% using this if they're not de-reacting. Okay. I was gonna say that's an insane turn if they're playing it that way. I know our Flittering won't have Go Again, but like it's a fine card to like end on or set up for next turn anyways. Opponent just had 2 D-reacts. He was already through like at least 3 or 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he was already through 4 of them. He saw 2 of them this turn. Unfortunate, but it's okay. I think that's the most effective use we're going to get out of Snapdragon Scalers anyways. So, pretty fine. And I would be a lot more worried about getting fatigued had they kept the helmet, but I think that we might be able to just push through. I still haven't seen like any exudes. I've got one of 3. Because you're working so hard right now. What's going on, Kim? Maybe a Rabble and a Snatch after that would be better. It's possible. Yeah, they're just trying to like effectively block out this turn because their hand's just not great. I think we just set up the Flittering Charge because it doesn't have Go Again anyways. And they already gave me a ton here. Man, there's the snag. This feels pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. It's like actually the worst time for us to run into that. But we have an effective turn still, even without the Flittering Charge, although the snag feels pretty bad. What we can do is we can pitch it to Grasp, send Starfall, or actually maybe I don't. We have a Tunic with channel, yeah. Yeah, do we just Tunic Starfall, see if they block? I feel like that's probably fine. I'm doing this just because it gives us the draw, almost guaranteed if they don't have that all you got. And then from here, we can effectively use the press. So like we don't need the press for this turn. So what we can do is um, we can rabble, right? Check out what that top card is. Then we can overpitch to Aurora, right? Um, Actually, we could just grasp Aurora, pass, and then set the Exude in Arsenal. I kind of like that. And then Aurora. Did I press the wrong cards? Can I back it up again? Sorry. So it was Tunic, this, drew there, and it was this. I thought I clicked Snag. I don't know why it picked Exude there. Grasp, Lightning Press, Snag, Aurora, pass. Put this down there, put this here. Okay, how many bonds have we seen? How many bonds, we've seen 0 codex actually, now that I'm thinking about it. What's going on, Pockets? We've seen, gosh, I have no idea. I have no idea what to do here. Is the beckoning bait? Because they've used 2 leave no witness. They've used 1, 2, 2 bonds. I see 1 persuasive. I actually don't think this is bait, but I think giving them Tunic is a risk here. Do I think I'll hit 3 more turns? Maybe not. And it's possible that I'm just like playing straight into like a CNC or something, but okay. Leave no witnesses, I think, is actually just fine, right? Because then we just like discharge Snatch and then just say, would you like to block a billion? Yeah. Unless they Stilettos. Stilettos is kind of like a crazy blowout here if they have a follow-up. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Because I'm pretty sure it's just Discharge Snatch with Go Again. And then we'll see if they AB the Rune Chant. So they do AB the Rune Chant, and then we throw 7 at them. We're through so many D-Reacts at this point. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, counting that all you got. Snatch, charge. Oh, yeah, to like effectively use it at the end. Because I think realistically what they're going to do here is they're going to D-React me again. but I get a pretty effective use out of Starfall here. And then if I draw a blue, which is probably likely um, at this point, then I can pitch it to Aurora. Because, like, now I've played a lightning card already. So Starfall comes in for like a nice little bit, right? But we're setting up a, because we have one counter there. Yeah. So we have one lightning card now. And then my blues should be lightning cards. That's not a lightning card. Okay. But we can snatch here. And then if they don't block it, okay, that's fine. Unfortunate we don't keep the CLV around, but the blue was like just a few down. I really don't want them to draw a card, but I think I just have to take a risk. They hit the they hit the last snag. They hit the last snag. Let's go. Okay. Um, I think I want to keep this Arcanic. So realistically, let's start on Rabble. See what happens. We leak one. Then we'll do this fused. Okay, we still haven't played a lightning card. So we can Arcanic written. Arcanic showing the written keeps the written in my hand. And he already knows about the written. But he's given me a lot this turn so far. Yeah, he's given me a lot so far. Although I am running out of cards very quickly. We'll put the Arcanic in Arsenal. Okay. Um, so my turn is Entwine. We'll show the written. We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there should be 2 more. You know what might be smart actually is to cycle in a couple cards with Grasp. Cycle in like Gone in a Flash Written in the Stars, and then send Arcanic Fusing Flittering. Shit, that's not what I meant to do. It keeps a red in my deck, and then we send effectively the same amount of well, we actually send an additional damage because of the Rune Chant, but I'm pretty confident that there's still one instant in my deck. Or did I use all 3? No, I used all 3 somersaults. And a pretty ineffective use of the that all you got. I've been leaking one pretty effectively here. Put the red first. So this is where not setting up an embodiment definitely punishes me, and he just played Sigil twice and just went back up to 10 because that's how this game works. So we have a blue on bottom, so it's red, blue, red written current. So the best thing we could probably do here is this. And then we pitch in the other Gone in a Flash. and we set up the Exude in Arsenal. He's running out of D-Reacts, but keeping the Exude till the end is going to be important. We have a Snag here, so if he has like a super effective turn off of like a Persuasive or something like that, or like a Bonds, then we actually just like kind of have a gotcha. Actually, blocking's probably correct there, so that feels pretty fucking bad. I forget that Double Trouble banishes top 2, because now I lose Gone in a Flash and Flittering off the top, which means my stack is blue, red, blue. Oh, and he had a Weakest Link. Wow, that feels bad. Because this press does so much for me. I think I made a huge mistake there, but we'll see, I guess. The most effective use of this snag is to put it back into the deck. So we should grasp and then exude. Because the exude at least has go again. But I'm pretty confident the game's over. Do I keep the press? Because then I've got Gone in a Flash. Double Codex draw. Doesn't kill me, so sure. They literally have the last D-React in their fucking arsenal. Is the last shelter. That's so annoying. There's just like no effective turn here, right? I think the most effective turn I actually have is written in the stars. I actually just have to go for the kill here, but I don't know how. We'll start here. I don't think it is possible for me to kill him. I don't think it's possible. Actually, because I can put the Gone in a Flash back into my hand right now, deal 4, then I can pitch to activate Aurora. Actually, I can't deal damage. I would just put it back in my hand, and they would take nothing. I have to try and play to my out, but I'm pretty confident I'm just dead. And then I pitch to Aurora. Doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure I do want to Arsenal. No, I don't. Because if it's CNC, then... E. Yeah, I can't beat Sigil of Solace, unfortunately. Alright. It happens. It's a long game. I want to try and do... Let's do one more. Let's do one more Aurora. Yeah, I think it felt mostly fine. Just... Okay. I think I probably want to go second here into Slippy. I'm assuming Snag is probably worth it. We'll cut 1 and 1 here, even though it's a blocking card, but I am going to bring in Shelter for this matchup because marking is pretty important. We'll actually go lower on these. Been trying out the Jarl deck. Love it, but you're afraid of new. Yeah, I think that's fair. New is pretty annoying. Do I just like... I mean, this is a race, right? Kind of. Maybe I just like cut some number of blues. Yeah, let's do that. Built your own with all the good blues. Love it, but you're afraid of new. Oh yeah, dude, sometimes, man, that stuff gets spooky. I think Burn Up is pretty effective here. So like we burn up Skyward and then just like use the press and set up an E-strike. I mean, I can, right? But it depends on what they're gonna choose to do here. Cause like if they try and effectively block out the Skizzik here, then like I can press here and get a lot of value, right? Because it's 3+4. And then the E-strike feels really good. Just being set up for the following turn, especially if I like draw an Arc Lightning or something like that. I think this is like one of the most comfortable like Arsenal E-strike setups that I could have, because I don't know that they bring in D-reacts into this matchup. I could be wrong. But I think setting this up is probably fine, because this leaks a lot. Oh, okay. That's fine. Hmm. Do I send Starfall? Starfall's 6 damage. I think that's actually pretty worth it there. I don't give a shit about Infiltrate. Oh no, he could play a 0 for 4. What is this one? Banish top and then banish from graveyard. I mean, yeah, I don't really care. Yeah, I don't really care. He banished a second Entwine Lightning. Man, my deck's just like, no Entwine Lightning for you this game. Let's, okay, we can... The Arcanic doesn't get a lot of value off of the Arc Lightning, but I could like Arc Lightning Snatch, which is pretty solid. And just like forces them to block. But then I only get 2 value off of the Arc Lightning because it's 1/2. Or if I pitch the Arcanic here, then it gets 3. But like I'm trying to get 3 value out of a card here when I get 1, 2, 3. So like this is 4 value if I just play it. I think maybe just setting up the Arc Lightning is like correct. Like I send Snatch here, and then if they choose not to block it, which I mean, I feel like it's probably they just block it. Yeah. I can't Aurora if the Snatch hits because I haven't played a Lightning card. So I just keep my snaps, and we just take this as a setup turn, which is totally fine. We're gonna skip another cover that I will probably get DMCA'd for. I probably just Sigil of Suffering here, no? Oh, he has no AB. See, like, they can hit me, if they hit me down here, that feels pretty good. I want to go to ideally 25. Slippy never runs AB. Okay. Because then he just sends this. Okay, this is like the perfect scenario here. Because I want to have Scar for a Scar turned on. So I can Arc Lightning, and then play the Arcanic fusing with Current Funnel. And then we're getting a lot of value still out of the Arc Lightning here because we're getting 1 from the Arc Lightning itself, 2 from the Arcanic Shockwave, 3 from Grasp, 4 from Starfall, and then the Scar for a Scar potentially, depending on how low they go. Okay, so the correct play here, let's let Arc Lightning resolve. He'll go to 23. Then I want to Scar because I don't want to Scar. Yeah, then blocking was important because now my Scar still gets go again. So like we're still getting the extra point off of Arc Lightning here, which is really helpful for us. They must have drawn kind of a clunker hand because blocking with Justinic and then blocking. No, they block with 2 Justinics. That's really interesting. I know I can technically set up with Aurora here, but I feel like pushing damage in a race right here is just so important. Looking for CLV for guaranteed draws now. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen Annie, right? Which is pretty nice. Because we're... What, I've pitched... I think I've only pitched 1? Oh no, I pitched the E-Strike. So we're E-Strike Current Funnel. Which means that we're 14 cards deep, so 3 full hands plus 2 cards. Yeah, there it is. So we Flittering CLV. Keep the Lightning Press because we need it to pitch probably, at least right now. I think we just start on the Flittering. We say, would you like to block? And they're probably going to say no, unless they have the Sync, which they kept 1 card last turn. It's possible they have a Sync. But I think, okay, so they have a sink in hand. The question now is, do I get super aggressive and I play their lightning press to guarantee a draw here? Because there's a possibility that I just don't draw a lightning card and then I don't get 2 draws off of CLV. Yeah, I kind of like that as well for the next play pattern. Yeah. Because like this forces their hand if they have a second D-react. Yeah. Snatch is a pretty good one. Um, do we just send Snatch? Because we played a lightning card. So if we draw, if we draw, then we get to Aurora. Snatch could draw pitch. Yeah. So like, so I don't think we send Starfall here. Yeah, I think we just send Snatch and say, would you like to block? Which I'm pretty confident they will. No? Okay. Absolutely punished. We will gladly be pitching to Aurora. Woo! This is a hand of all time. Holy shit. You could do anything you want to me. I do not care. Yeah, you could do anything you want. Oh, except that. I don't like that one. We don't like this one. Grasp is a guaranteed draw. Yeah. But he doesn't. Okay, so he has Tunic. But he can just go 1, 2, 3. So like that's 4. And then assuming he has, yeah, he has 3 on board with Flick, Mask, Black Tech, which pushes it to 4. So if I block 7, I'm relatively safe. Because I think I could just go here. And then, like, if he takes the other current funnel, then I'm like, oh no. But, like, he probably takes Gone in a Flash if he goes above 7. Yeah, because I'm thinking it's a +3. I'm thinking this is the correct play. If if I get absolutely just blown out by it, then that just happens, but it's fine. Yeah, because he's gonna flick that. It's possible it's just nothing. Yeah, nine is like crazy safe. I just don't know that I want to commit Crown here. I don't like committing Crown early into Assassins on like a Bonds or anything like that, because I think that you can way more effectively use it um, with, yeah, that's fine. Um, that was wrong, right? Oh, they were just clearing Arsenal. Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong. It's Gone in a Flash with Go again. Then if they block, I channel Lightning Valley, put it back into hand, swing Starfall. And then, or actually, yeah, no, I'm making a mistake here. Yo, TK, I'd always, I feel like I can never pronounce your name right. TK Bommel? Is that right? I just grasp here. I just grasp here, I play CLV, and I say, hello, opponent, I'd like to draw a card, thank you. I'd like to draw 2 cards, actually, and then send 2 at you. We still have an embodiment, right? somersault this, right? It's Swedish, but that would make the U, I don't know how to pronounce that, but a normal U is fine. Okay, so how would I pronounce it properly then? Wait, did I say yes? Hold on. Sorry. Did I say yes on Gone in a Flash? No. Okay. So like, boom. Okay. Mule? Is that more correct for the end of it? Am I pronouncing that more correct? Okay, I have a new one here. Mule. Okay. Mule. Okay. Got you. Means cotton. Interesting. I mean, I just sent the Gone in a Flash here, right? That's just... Yeah, they keep themselves at 1. Boop. Oh. We'll wait for them to play out their hand and then we'll burn up shock them. uh... I mean, this is just damage. Sure. Sure. You can make as much silver as you want. I really don't care. I'm waiting for them to play their whole hand because I want to make sure that that last card's not shelter. And they're not killing me with this, so I really don't care. There's been too many times now that I've had that happen where like I get them to like a really low point and then like I accidentally kill myself because I'm not playing around them having shelter in hand. And like they haven't shown me a shelter yet this game, but they've played 3 Sync Belows. It's not impossible for them to be on shelter. Oh. Okay. I will let them play that. I'm going to then burn up shock you. Okay. Do I have another deck that I'm going to play after Aurora? That is a great question. I'm between like 2 or 3 right now. I can show you really quick. Let me get my page here. So I've been. Sorry, you're gonna see ads on the bottom of my screen here. I know I don't pay for Talishar. I should support Talishar with how much I play this game, man. So the ones that I've been looking at are this all red Syndra list. The list that I was just playing is this statistically Aurora list. And then what I've been doing is I took the top 64-IO players and I put together every single one of their decks. You just started supporting them. Yeah, I kind of feel like it's probably at a point where I should support them, just because I'm on Fabrary daily. I probably use Fabrary more than I use like YouTube, which is like crazy to think about, but I'm 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 pretty sure I use it more than a lot of things. I'm on this website constantly. But one big thing was I wanted to, we'll do this really fast. Well, actually, it's going to make it a lot easier if I do this. Copy. We can look at these really quick together, just as a little sidetrack moment for us here. So we got Jacobs. We got Anton's. I'm pretty sure we can only get up to 6, but we'll just leave off I think it's Lauren, Laurin. Yeah. So we'll compare all these really quick and just look through and kind of see what I've at least been thinking for Dio based off of these lists. Um, the other decks that I was talking about, so this is the Aurora list that I'm playing right now. This is potentially what I'm taking to my ProQuest this weekend. Um, it is Mech always rubs you the wrong way. I really like Dio, and so I think that's like a big reason for me to like jump back into it after Aurora's gone. Um, and when I played Dio previously, I did really well, um, to a point where I how can I phrase it? I went to a ProQuest for ProQuest Amsterdam on Dio. I went to two. I top aided one, and then I top aided a second. Um, I only made it to, or actually no, I made ninth place on my first ProQuest, and then I got to the semis and lost because I miscounted my deck. In terms of how many items I had left. So I missed out on a finals match into what I would consider to be a pretty decent matchup. It was Fi, um, and I missed out on it because I miscounted my items by one. I didn't realize that I had already burnt through it at a previous time, and it was at my banish, which is like it happens sometimes, but I think that overall my experience with Dio is like pretty successful. So I think going back to her won't feel as bad. But I did play her when High Octane was legal, and High Octane's not legal now. So it's like that's that's rough, you know. Um, Not having High Octane does change things a lot. But I like playing Go Again cards, and so you'll see in the decks that I'm going to show you that there's a lot of Go Again. Um, I don't really like playing tall, so that's kind of the direction that I'm trying to look at. I feel like this music is so loud, even though it's not that loud. So, um, just to go through my Aurora list, pretty standard equipment set here, with the exception of Crown of Providence. I think a lot of people are on Face Purgatory mainboard now. Um, I like Crown more personally. I still have Face Purgatory. It's in my sideboard. I only really use it for tall decks that aren't assassins. Oh, there's a kitty. Hi. Um, I only use it for tall decks that aren't assassins, um, and it's mostly felt fine. Um, I it's okay. I'm not crazy about it. To cover over the rest of the equipment slots, though, Azalea does hate it. Yeah. Um, to cover over the rest of the equipment slots, I think they're pretty standard, but just Tunic, Charmers, Lightning Greaves in the sideboard. Tunic is for like Assassin games that I just anticipate going longer. I used to bring this in versus like Enigma, but obviously she's gone now, so good riddance. Greaves is there for any AB matchup, so like your Runeblade matchup. You're also bringing it in for like Prism randomly because you want the extra 1 point of block for the what's the card called? The 2 for 5 that draws two cards. That one. It's really good. So you want an extra one block for that matchup, but this also helps you get around Arclight Sentinel, which if you're familiar with Aggro's stream, you know how important this card is into Arclight Sentinel. Yeah, Herald of Erudition, thank you. And then Shock Charmers is just because Kano exists, and I have like 2 or 3 Wizard players locally, and I know that there's one that is probably traveling from out of town to come here. That's like a pretty consistently solid Kano player, so I just kind of have to respect it. Um, Going into main deck, um, there's a lot of 3-ofs. I think it's probably more important to cover the 2-ofs. I start at 57, so I'm always boarding in at least 3 cards. Um, Most of the deck is pretty standard. I have the Electrostatic Discharge, Flittering Charge, Gone in a Flash, like combination of cards all together. Um, but I realized that I didn't like some aspects of how um, my Skizzik package was performing without Ravenous Rabble in the deck. And after seeing how many people like performed extremely well with Ravenous Rabble in their deck, I tried to make room for Ravenous Rabble to come back in. You ran into 3 wizards. That feels really bad. Were they like Kano Verdant's Acilio? Like, do you play any Acilios locally? I don't really see too many Acilio players anymore, but like, we've had people dabbling in Verdants recently, and it's mostly fine. It's easy for this deck to beat. Um, I don't know how it'll be going forward though. Um, but most of this deck is just your standard 3 ofs. The blue slot here is not Heaven's Claws because I'm playing intentionally into Face Purgatory. 2 Acilio and 1 Verdant. That's surprising. No Kano's. Shocking. But I guess Kano's a bigger investment because you need the Fableds, which is annoying. It's one of the only reasons why I haven't picked up Kano. Um, but I've got, so to cover the 2 ofs and why I'm on 2 of each of these cards, I really liked having 3 Scar for a Scar in my previous list, and I can show you guys that list really fast. This is my 2.3 list, which is the list that I was kind of, or actually, not this list, the 2.2 list. So this was a list that I actually took to the Pro Tour, and I thought that it performed really well, but I ran 3 Scar for a Scars in the sideboard, and I started on 54 cards. So I was always bringing in 6, right? And I felt like I was bringing in Scar for a Scar like every matchup. It just always felt really good. And so I decided, you know what? I'm just going to kind of move Scar for a Scar around a little bit. So I moved Scar for a Scar back into the main deck for this new Statistic Aurora deck, is what I call it, and just slotted 2 in. The reason why there's 2 is because I was also trying to fit Rabble back in, so that 3rd slot went to Rabble. Then I was looking at cards that people were playing inconsistently in between 2 and 3 copies at the Pro Tour as well, and the cards that stood out the most that were being played at 2 and 3 copies were Arcanic Shockwave, Flittering Charge over here, I know you can't really see it because I'm covering it a little bit, Lightning Surge, and then Static Shock. So each of these cards were being played at like 2 ofs, like a lot. And so the thought was, if I want to cut some space to open up 3 slots for Rabble, I need to figure out what cards I care about putting down to a 2 slot. I personally really like Lightning Surge. I think this card's great, and I play intentionally around like setting it up a lot. So I intentionally kept 3 in the list because I just think that it'll be better to keep 3 in the list, because I'm intentionally playing around it more, where I'm not intentionally playing around like Arcanic or Static Shock as much. Flittering made sense to keep at 3 because I was still on 3 Discharge, 3 Somersault, and like that card's always felt fine for me at 3. I don't know why people cut it down to 2 previously, so I just left that one the same, which put me down to just my only other 2 options were Arcanic Shockwave and Static Shock. And so I cut each of them down to 2. I've seen a few people dabbling around with 3 Static Shock and 1 Arcanic Shockwave, which I think is really interesting as well, but I don't know if it is like arguably correct to do either. I personally like Arcanic Shockwave more than Static Shock, because Arcanic allows you to set up a lot more, and I like setting up my turns more than just like playing intentionally into a turn, where you're putting a lot more cards out when you're playing into a Static Shock, because you're ending with a Static Shock typically, right? You're like, you do your whole turn, you're like, okay, I played my Lightning card, Static Shock at the end, try and leak an extra 1, right? And then with Arcanic, you kind of like using it to set up a following turn as an ender. So like if you're playing like a smaller hand, which happens pretty often, your Arcanic just says, oh, okay, I'm going to fuse with this Lightning card that I want to use on my next turn, like a Flittering Charge or like a Lightning Surge, which are the two cards that I didn't cut, um, because you can set those ones up a lot more effectively. And so you can play that Arcanic Shockwave as a Chain Ender in the same vein as Static Shock, where you're still getting that like extra one. It's a little bit more guaranteed if you have the Lightning card in hand, or you're getting the extra one because there's no guarantee that you get the extra one off of the Static Shock. And so my thought process is, if I play the Arcanic as um, a Chain Ender, I'm using it as setup more than I would be a Static Shock. And so when I have either or, it changes my play pattern. So like if I see an Arcanic, my play pattern changes to, okay, can I use this to set up? If I'm playing with a Static Shock in my hand, or like playing towards a Static Shock, like I say I see one on top or something like that from a Rabble, um, then I know that I'm trying to like push a full hand. And so I'm playing intentionally into each one of those a little bit differently. Um, and not having 3 copies of each of them allows me to separate that like thought process a lot easier, um, because I'm not intentionally playing towards one or the other like constantly. I get to do it every once in a while, but it's not like a constant choice of, oh, okay, am I trying to set up or am I trying to just push? Um, and then Scar for Scar's just goated. This card's insane. I don't know how I was not playing this card earlier. This card's just crazy good. Um, it just comes into like every matchup, and then if you're like, oh, you have more life than me, or like I have more life than you, and I'm like winning, then Scar for Scar's just a 0 for 4 Ender, which is still crazy good. Like a 0 for 4, a baseline 0 for 4 in this deck is just always good. I have yet to see a 0 for 4 that I've looked at in this deck, and I was like, man, this card kind of blows. Oh, like every 0 for 4 is really good. This card's like insane though, because it provides you a lot of utility. And on top of that, it sits right in between where what I was talking about before with Static Shock and Arcanic Shockwave. It sits right in between both of those slots where like I can use it as a Chain Ender if I really want to, or like I can use it intentionally and set up around it, or I can use it to extend my turn and push like a much larger turn. Um, so it sits right in between the Arcanic Shockwave and Static Shock spot as well, um, pretty effectively, and that's why I like it in the main deck rather than keeping it at 3 like I had previously in the sideboard. Um, I've been very distracted. I'm going to read really quickly what you said. You said you bring AB3 Spellvoid 2 into Acilio and Lantern only into Verdance. For what deck are you on? Are you on Assassin? It reads that way that you're on Assassin. I personally into Acilio, yeah. Personally into Acilio, I don't know how I feel about the Spell Void. I feel like it's mostly fine. Um, I feel like if you're going to bring Spell Void into a matchup, that's probably the matchup to bring it into, besides Kano, right? Um, just because Verdance doesn't really effectively use her spells all that much, at least right now. There's a possibility that she gets like a spell in like an expansion slot that would be pretty good for her in the future, which I think that is something that they really should do. The Widow, yeah, has a built-in Spell Void. Yeah, so like you're effectively using your pieces anyways. That feels fine. Yeah. Also, the Syndra agrees. Yeah, we're gonna get into Syndra in a minute here. I know I'm taking a long time, but this is like I've worked on this deck for a while now, and I originally started off just, admittedly, I was just copying aggro, um, and it won me a Pro Quest and an invite to the Pro Tour, and then I just have dedicated a bunch of time to being like, okay, well, why do we play these cards, um, and trying to kind of challenge thought processes that a lot of other players have had towards this deck, especially when it came to like originally putting in Scar for a Scar, um, and like playing Flicker Wisp, and kind of like how do you effectively use your um, sideboard pieces, and like should you be intentionally playing towards a combo or not, that kind of stuff. Um, I was really low on Sigil of Suffering for example. For like a really long time, I was just on like Sink Shelter, and eventually just I saw the light. Um, the rest of the sideboard though is pretty straightforward. I think the only thing that's like not like super obvious is Snag. Um, Snag is mostly just because I have a lot of assassin players locally, um, and this card just like wins that matchup pretty effectively as long as they're playing like really, really intentionally. Sorry about the yawns. As long as they're playing like pretty intentionally into like bonds and stuff like that, and a lot of my local players that play assassin will play very, very intentionally into bonds, um, and just play their whole like multiple turns in a row, just trying to set it up. And so I think having Snag in the deck is just like an effective way of just like full faulting a turn um, with like an equipment piece plus a Snag. You're just like, oh, okay, I'll block one. That's that's it. Um, but outside of that, I think the deck's pretty fine. I have a few maybe slots in here that I was kind of like looking at. You got the extra one of cards here, some second strikes, some CNCs, because I was seeing this played from like Ellie Bird and gosh, what's her name? Uh, Ellie Bird played it. There was a few other people that were playing it at the Pro Tour um, that I think were on a team together. Uh, that were playing like CNCs and like Reaping Blade and some other stuff. It was really interesting play patterns for the deck. It kind of like flipped the play pattern when they played into the mirror. It was pretty cool. Um, the combo pieces mostly for like Florian, and then like Vaporize and Warmongers, just in case was like kind of a thought is like Vaporize Shock if like Vincent and Fang become more popular, which they are decently popular in my local meta, but they're not like crazy. Um, and then Warmongers also for like Vincent, or if Azalea or something was to like randomly pick back up, then Warmongers just slots back in pretty effectively. Um, but that's the Aurora deck. I know way more about this deck than I do about than about the Syndra deck. So I'm just gonna really quickly talk through why I like this deck and where I found it. So I found this deck on Twitter. The Asian community on Twitter for Flesh and Blood is like crazy on Twitter. They always posting these really cool deck lists that make me interested, make me want to try stuff. Um, and so I saw this list and I was like, man, I need to try this. Yeah, if you want to send, I don't know if Automod would time you out. You can try sending a link, and if it like kills you, I'll I'll get you back in. Um, but the Syndra list just looks pretty standard. It's like a typical like 60 red Syndra list, right? Um, but what was really interesting was they were on a full set of Blood Runs Deep. Yeah, DM me works perfectly. Um, they were on a full set of Blood Runs Deep, and then I saw this card, and I was like, cut through. Like, what are they trying to do? And then I realized, I'm like, oh, they're just trying to send 0 for 4s. And, like, Blood Runs Deep is a 0 for 4. So, I'm like, well, maybe there's a play to it. And then they've got, like, some Hunt the Hunters, a couple Lava Bursts, and this card, March of Loyalty. Man, I did not know that this card existed. I haven't done a lot of draft of Hunted, um, as apparent by my 1-2 at the Pro Tour in draft. Didn't know this card existed. This card's kind of cool. Yeah, it's definitely unique. Um, and so I was kind of shocked by um, them putting this in, but I was like, oh no, this makes sense. It's a 0 for 4 Draconic card. Um, March has some fun tech being able to flick a marked hero to get go again. Yeah, and that's what's pretty cool about it too. So like if you can effectively mark as well, you're just like you're getting a lot out of this card. A lot more than I originally thought. Um, this card's pretty cool. I think the rest of the deck is pretty straightforward though. Besides like Pain in the Backside, I think Pain in the Backside is probably the only other card that's like not normal for Syndra. Um, oh, I guess and Snatch that's sitting right next to me. Um, Pain in the Backside is just a 0 for 4. So I understand the thought process behind Pain in the Backside. Pain in the Backside's 0 for 4. And then Snatch, believe it or not, is 0 for 4. What's cool about Snatch is even though we're on Dragon Scalar Flight Path, we have pretty effective ways of making fealty, and we play, I would say, decently intentionally into playing field or making fealty in this deck. So snatching, um, snatching, and then like playing your Dragon Scalar Flight Path on it doesn't feel terrible. Um, it does make me question whether or not you should just be on like Snapdragon Scalars, but I have not run into a scenario where Snapdragon Scalars would have been like better than Dragon Scalar at any point so far. So I think Snatch is kind of exactly where you want it to be at. Um, the sideboard is just D-React Central plus some snags. This is actually what they played, with the exception of this card down here at the end, the Spellfray Leggings. Um, I have the Spellfray Leggings in again, just because I'm anticipating Kano if I'm ever playing this deck, and so I just want to have the Spellfray in there just in case. That's pretty much it. But that's the Syndra list. I think it looks cool. It's a lot of 0 for 4s, and I like 0 for 4s. I like 0 for 5s. I like 1 for 5s. Some 1 for 4s in here too. But a lot of them feel like 0 for 4s because you can pretty effectively use your chest to make them 0 for 4s, if you want to call it that. We'll look through the deal lists in a second. Let me pull up Discord and I can check out the DM that you sent me. Alright. So, let's see here. Hunter's Clave, that's already interesting. I've seen a lot of my locals that play new just go completely off of Hunter's Clave. They seem pretty low on it. What are you... I guess I'll look through the deck and we'll see. So Hunter's Clave is in here really for the blue marks and take up the mantle. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know how I feel about Hunter's Clave in this slot. I like a lot of the just double Mistblade lists because I feel like they still play pretty intentionally into like what you want to be doing as new. Um, I don't hate the Hunter's Clave though. It's not bad. It's just I feel like you're only really ever playing it or like using it effectively at the end of the game. And that's where I think it probably feels a little weird. Um, just digging through. I like the one of Death Touch. I love Death Touch. I played Assassin for a really long time. Yo, Dark Wolf. Um, I played Assassin for a really long time, and I always played one Death Touch at least. I even played it in like when I was playing Huntsman. I played Huntsman even after Azuri came out, and I would play Death Touch in my list. I played Codex of Bloodrot. Codex of Bloodrot Death Touch. I would just intentionally slam the Death Touch into my arsenal so I could play it for free. It was a lot of fun. Um, let's see here. Mainboard D-Reacts. I'm always spooked by, but I think in this meta you're probably fine, especially because you have like some different options down here, and you're playing at 60 cards, right? Yeah. I sideboard out like a lot of D-Reacts and then board them in before the game, just because it helps me to understand like why I'm bringing in specific cards, and it helps me, I think, in the long run, be like, oh, okay, if I'm, let's use playing Assassin into Assassin as an example, I'm bringing in Shelter because I want to effectively block their daggers, right? And it's like, is Sink Below doing the same thing that I want it to do, or the same thing that I want Shelter to do, or would, like, let's say That All You Got be just as effective? Kind of helps me assess things a little bit easier. Um, Shred is also interesting, but I think Shred Red is normal-ish. I've seen a lot more yellow Shred mainboard, I think, because it pitches to Dagger. Um, But I think Red Shred is interesting. Um, Siren's Call, I feel like almost is. Oh man, I'm clicking too many buttons, and I went full screen, so I have to go back. Um, so I feel like Siren's Call's a weird choice here, but it's mostly because I think the meta is slowly fading away from a heavier blue play pattern. So I could even see this like being sideboard. Um, and again, one of those cards where you put it in the sideboard and you say, okay, I intentionally want to bring it in to this matchup, and I know I'm bringing it in for this matchup because it's important here. Otherwise, you could just bring in like that all you got. It also is a block 3, but it pitches better, right? So if you don't have an effective use of Siren's Call, maybe that all you got is just better, and then you can assess it a little easier. I don't know that I like this card a whole lot though. Um, the unconventional, most people overvalue my clave, and then you can sneak in a cheeky blue mark. People like blue heavy. Okay. Yeah, if it's a meta call to play Siren's Call, then that seems fine. I still think this should not be in the main board. But I also I set up my deck differently. So I understand. I think this should be a sideboard card almost all the time. And then you say, okay, I can effectively bring it in like X, Y, and Z matchups. Venomous Bite at 2, I like. I think it's funny because the way that I play into Assassin, I always assume that there's 3 of each. So having 2 Venomous Bite is actually like, I look at it as like an Omega Brain play. You're like, oh man, they're gonna think that I have a 3rd Venomous Bite and try and play around it in the late game, and that does wear on people. Codex of Frailty seems fine. I don't like Plague Hive. I think gems are terrible unless you're Kano. Um, so like this card could just be something different, but it's probably fine. Take Up the Mantle I like at 2, especially because you have the Hunter's Clave. I think it feels probably fine at 2, mostly just a react for +2, which if you're trying to get through like a pretty effective stealth hit like a Persuasive or something like that, then that's pretty solid. Um, the second half of the card, I would assume, doesn't happen often, but I could be wrong. Bonds of Agony is a card that exists in this game. Levels of Enlightenment is a card that exists in this game. I like all of your choices on Chi. It's pretty standard though. Yeah, I would assume the second half is barely ever used, but there are times where being able to, because you're on Flick, right? No, you're not on Flick. I would think Flick might be worth considering if you're playing some Take Up the Mantles. Flick might be worth considering. Just a thought. I don't know. I don't know if that's like for sure the correct play, but maybe worth testing. Um, I like your typical stuff here. Pick to Pieces at 2 seems interesting. I've seen a lot of people playing Double Trouble, and I think Double Trouble might just be better right now, especially with Enigma going out. I would assume this is for Enigma, um, or for like Prism, right? But I think this card just turns into Double Trouble probably. Um, Double Trouble seems really strong. I'm gonna skip this on just because it's really long. Um, Sideboard pieces. When are you bringing in Scale Peeler into Warrior? These seem normal to me. I'm not gonna question you about these guys or like the Arcane Lantern. Like, when are you bringing in Scale Peeler? So I think that seems interesting. You had a ton of warriors. Okay, that seems normal then. If you're playing into a bunch of warriors or you're like anticipating a bunch of warriors, I think Scale Peeler feels correct. Vambrace is like fine. I like this card in Azuri a lot more than like any other deck. Just because this. text right here, the attack reaction thing, which is pretty cheeky. You can do a lot of stuff with that pay one. Um, and then the Widow Claws seem fair. I'm surprised that you aren't on the chest. I think that's what most people have been leaning towards. Yeah, I'm surprised you're not on the chest. Because I think I've seen more people lean towards the legs and chest slot than the arm slot. I don't know personally why. It's just an observation. But I don't think you ever want this. I think you consider the chest. I don't think you ever want the headpiece. Given you baited Aurora Vis players with the clave. Yeah. Pain in the Backside's kind of sick. I love this card. Especially in Assassin. This card's crazy effective in Assassin. Um, Especially because you're just like, oh man, you didn't block my Pain in the Backside. Guess I'm gonna hit you with Beckoning for free, and then you play blue afterwards or something like that. Like it just feels pretty good. This card is not good. Not in this deck. This card is good. Not in this deck. Um, I don't think you bother with Savers. I like Yellow Shred. I think Yellow Shred's potentially better than Red Shred in your main deck. Um, Especially because, like, this is me thinking into the future. Wizards are about to get better. Runeblade is always going to be good because Runeblade's just inherently broken. Having more pitch will be more important later in the meta. So I think having a spot where you can flip your red shreds into yellow shreds and still have them be pretty effective is probably smart. I don't know that there are too many times where the difference in -1 between the two would like hurt you. I think yellow shred's just as effective as red shred. And then take up if you want to run like Flick. I think you could consider Flick maybe tied into this take up the mantle, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's worth testing, maybe not. I have no idea. We're gonna quick glance through these Dio decks just to end off stuff, and then I'm gonna go eat lunch before I have to go to work, because I don't work until nights, and I figured if I can get some streaming in on the days that the other guys aren't streaming, then get some people to tune in. We can have some fun and chit chat. This is why you asked to test with me? Yeah. No, I'm totally down to test with you. Especially like during the mornings and stuff. The only days that are like really tough for me are like Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I think are going to be a little bit more difficult for me. And granted, keep in mind I'm US based, so any time difference, we'll have to sort out. But if I end up streaming and doing stuff like this, I'm more than happy to play against you on stream and like talk through things and try and see, where we can help each other improve. So let's dig through these. There's one list that's not on here, but I want to talk through these really, really quickly because this is probably the deck that I'm going to be picking up after Aurora goes, which seems probably like it's going to happen pretty fast. So going through and like kind of checking out things, we'll take a look real quick. I am going to very quickly take this window capture and here, give me 2 seconds. I want to. I'm just gonna take off my video capture for right now, so that we can see parts of Jacob Allen's list on the side over here. And then let's hide this as well, so you can kind of see some of the ones. I know the chat's gonna be ugly, but we'll deal with it for a moment. Finally, just a VTuber. I know everybody's been waiting. It's just the VTuber now. All right. So, first one here. I think Braces of Belief actually is just better than Goliath Gauntlet. I think I think playing Goliath Gauntlet is so it's it's so I feel so indifferent about this. Gotta bounce. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, you go and have a nice dinner. I appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out. This is I think like I hardly ever get viewers playing some of the other stuff that I was doing before, so just coming in, having people to like jam and chit chat with while I'm practicing to try and get better on some of these decks is really, really helpful. So I appreciate you guys being here. Um, Talking through. So I think Bracers of Belief is probably just better than Goliath Gauntlet. I don't see a scenario where I would not want to be on Bracers of Belief. I think this card's just as effective as Goliath Gauntlet in this deck because you run so many reds that Bracers of Belief just does the same thing. Um, Also, Chris Ciali is like fucking crazy good. Not that any of these players over here are not also just as good, because obviously they performed extremely well at the Pro Tour, but uh, I trust Chris's opinion on cards for this deck. He's very very good. He's been playing uh, a lot of these more aggressive style lists pretty effectively, and I see his name pop up quite often. So I would trust that Chris knows what he's doing. So the only thing that I think I disagree with on Chris's list is that he's not on heavy industry gear shift. I think that this card is probably one of the most effective equipment pieces that Dio has gotten recently, um, and I think that it plays in a similar sense to Achilles, but just has a nice hedge in matchups where you need the extra one block. So I could see myself probably venturing more towards Chris's list in terms of the equipment suite, um, with the exception of heavy industry gear shift. I think should be in the deck. Um, I don't know how to play Hanabi Blaster effectively. It's possible that we have to learn how to play Hanabi Blaster effectively because of Florian. Um, so that might be something that I look into for the future. And you can see like Anton and Jacob's list here both had Hanabi Blaster in it. Um, I would have to double check and see if they played into a Florian or not, and like how their overall performance was into each list. But pretty much every single one of these guys was 5-4 or better in CC. So most of them did pretty good or performed pretty well. Just came back and saw a VTuber. Yeah, I turned off the cam for a moment. You can see me. I'm just chilling here. I turned off the cam for a moment so we could see the rest of the list here. I am gonna bring back that chat background. I realize it's slightly annoying to cut off the last list a little bit, but I can't read the chat otherwise. Not as effectively. So, um, quick glance through, we'll just talk to cards that are um, universally considered to be in the deck. So Backup Protocol Red at 3, that seems fair. Boom at 3, Fast and Furious at 3, Pulse Wave at 3, 0 to 60 and Zipper Hit Reds at 3, Boom Yellow at 3 seems correct. Spark at 3 is obviously arguably correct. Cerebellum at 3, Teclacore at 3, and 0 to 60 Blue at 3. All of these cards seem fine. There's nothing that I would like question in any of these because I think that they're all effectively doing what you want them to do in each matchup. Whether or not they are good going into a future meta, I think is just like something to be seen. I'm gonna skip past this really quick. So I think looking into the next meta, we know that like Florian is gonna get really good, just as an example. I'll just pull up heroes. Heroes that I think are about to be good, right? Slippy's already good. I think that matchup's probably fine though. Mario's pretty good. I think that matchup's also fine. Azalea is good and is a bad matchup. Um, so figuring out how to play into that matchup will be important. Betsy and Bravo don't exist. Syndra is just a race, and you probably race her just as effectively as she races you. Um, Having less blues in the deck would be more effective into her, but I think that having more blues in the deck will be important um, based off of decks that we haven't talked about yet. Dash IE doesn't exist. This is the mirror. Dorinthia is going to get better because Enigma's gone. Um, all warriors pretty much get better because Enigma's gone, and I know that we have a couple local players that like to play warrior, so those warrior decks probably will end up being a smidge better, and that's mostly fine. I'm not too crazy about what the warriors are going to look like, but I think if they are effectively playing what's the one? Valiant Dynamos. If they're effectively playing Valiant Dynamos, that's where it gets a little bit more scary. So like I think I'm more scared of like let's say Fang or Kasai than I am of Dorinthia, unless Dorinthia goes like Hatchets or something like that. Um, Fi is the same thing as Syndra. Fang, like I said, if he's running Valiant Dynamos really effectively and is able to get online early, he just like races you just as effectively as like a Syndra would. Um, Florian is just extremely defensive, and so understanding how to play into him is going to be incredibly important. Who do I think Florian needs to worry about? Kano. Any wizard. Wizards fuck Florian, like, really, really easily. If you look at his... I'll pull up the meta results really quick right now for Florian. Florian just gets, like, giga-fucked by wizards. Because wizards just do more damage than he can prevent in one turn. So we'll pull his list up here. You can see that he is losing into... Oh man, I can barely fit the scroll bars in. Okay, so we can see he's losing into Aurora, but we're assuming Aurora's gonna die, right? He can more effectively block into Syndra if he doesn't have to care about Arcane Barrier and other bullshit into Aurora. So he can just play a couple more D-Reacts and just like play this matchup really effectively. This matchup doesn't exist. This matchup also doesn't exist, and this matchup hardly exists. So I don't really consider this to be like a good number. Although, if Florian does get better, I do think it makes Fi way better than Syndra. Fi is pretty consistently going too wide for Florian to block effectively, but it then becomes a question of this new OTK Florian deck that's like popping up with the Scepter and all that bullshit. That one, as long as it's blocking effectively, if I can't race it for some reason, then I could see there being an issue. And like Fi maybe has to adapt a little bit, but I think Fi is actually pretty good for like a meta call if you're like, oh, my meta's 10 Florians. Sideboard's Condemned to Slaughter against Aurora and Syndra. That's the one that destroys an aura, right? I can't spell. No. Yeah, they run blue. They run blue Condemned to Slaughter already. I'm pretty sure. At least the ones that I've seen play blue Condemned to Slaughter already. I don't know if they play it like intentionally into any specific matchup, but I've seen them playing blue ones already. So like I was saying, Fi is pretty good into Florian, and if Florian isn't able to target Fi effectively, then Fi potentially just is like a really good counter. This matchup is as even as you would think it is. This is just the mirror. This is correct. This is correct. This is the matchup that I'm the most interested in. I think Kano, if Florian takes over the meta, I think Kano just fucking runs him over. Kano is just so powerful into Florian. And if you're looking at like a high level point of gameplay, like let's say at like a Nationals or a Pro Tour or basically anything above like a ProQuest or RTN level, this deck is going to be piloted by the best players playing the deck. So if Florian is being played by the best players and Kano is being played by the best players, I would effectively say this 33% is probably accurate. Um, there are plenty of bad Kano players and plenty of bad Florian players that would affect this number um, slightly. But if you put it in the hands of the best players, then then this stands, in my opinion. Um, all of these matchups getting over to Verdance are accurate, in my opinion, with this being an exception because there's not that many people playing Acilio right now. Um, although I think that Acilio has room to potentially get a card in high seas that could make him more effective. I think that um, what they did with Verdance, with giving her the one of card, the Ring of Roses, um, I think doing stuff like that is really, really positive for the game, and I think that they can pretty safely do something like that for Acilio as well, um, because he's definitely falling behind with all of the book bans. They kind of, I think, printed him with the intention of him having maybe access to some of those books, and the fact that he doesn't have access to those books just really hurts him. And so I think they could probably do something pretty safely with him, as long as they make it specifically Lightning Wizard. Don't print a Lightning card here that then restricts the rest of the class heavily, or the rest of the talent heavily. Um, Granted, if they want to give Aurora or Briar or something, in Living Legend, a crazy good card that also just happens to be good in Acilio, then that feels fine. But I think we've been shown that if you make a card too effective, like Electrostatic Somersault or Electromagnetic Somersault, um, that it like homogenizes the class. Every Lightning hero just plays that card at 3 of, because at least 3 of at red, um, because that card's just broken. And every Lightning hero from now on, forever and ever until the end of time, will play that card at 3 of, because it's a 0 for 60 react, or it on offense can give you upwards of 4 to 5 value. That card's just crazy good. Um, I mean, obviously there's a reason why it doesn't block, but you want to avoid homogenizing the class a little too much. Verdance is pretty good into Florian, and I think can get better by having more players put time into her. I think there's a lot less people playing Verdance than um, than like Kano right now. Um, you can see like some of these totals. These totals are for April, by the way. I think this total is really low, especially when you look at like Vincent has more players. That's crazy. Um, so I think Wizard. I think Wizard has the potential, and Fi. Wizard Fi, I think have the chance to beat Florian. It's kind of where I'm at with it. Um, I'm realizing that I'm starting to run out of time. I'm gonna very quickly go through this though, um, just to talk through a few ideas that I have. Um, I like BIOS Update, and I probably would play at least a couple of them. I'm not sure if I would go all the way up to 3, but I think this card is super effective, um, and plays just really, really well in DO. Um, I do worry about the effectiveness of it into a meta that blocks more efficiently, because like plus three is pretty telegraphed. Um, it just depends on how effectively you can use the item. And if you're not effectively getting the item, then that card's not really worth it. Although we can talk about that with Teckle Pounder. Like, you pair it with Teckle Pounder, and it's like the best 2-card combo in the game that you can have access to. So if you're playing like intentionally into trying to do that, then that feels really good. Otherwise, I think you're probably not effectively using it very well. And fatiguing in this deck is going to become a very serious concern soon, because a lot of Guardians and a lot of defensive decks like Florian are just going to play to fatigue you intentionally every single time. which is another reason why I think like Convection Amplifier, at least as a one of, is also pretty effective. It helps you push through like a big I see Burnham Shock, Boom Grenade turn. So I think that one's pretty straightforward. Um, Dissolving Shield you just shouldn't play. Expedite I think is mostly fine. I'm not a huge fan of it over something like Fender Bender or for Sprocket Rocket. Sprocket Rocket is pretty solid um, and intentionally plays into card like Heist um, really effectively, and I think that Heist is going to be pretty important coming up because people are going to be trying to fatigue you. So if you're able to set up a Heist really effectively and bring back like a crucial item or something like that, just helps you to not kill yourself. um, Fender Bender is pretty solid. I like Fender Bender as like an anti-armor fatigue option. Um, I could see this if you're playing more into like a lot of like Guardians, but I think right now this card's probably less effective than something like Sprocket Rocket, some of the more zero cost intentional cards that get you closer to max Ving faster. Um, let me see here. I really like Outpace. I think Outpace is just better than Medex. I don't understand why this one player was playing Medex. Um, I think it's just not as effective as playing Outpace. Outpace just feels really good. Um, it provides a breakpoint, and you're not having a hard time pitching into it because this deck likes to pitch at least a tiny bit. So um, Outpace feels fine at 1 for 4, and you really, really threaten people. Waiting until High Seas, and then I'll be happy deciding either Jarl or Gravy Bones. Yeah, I am questioning whether or not I want to play Gravy Bones. He's on the list. I'll put it that way. He's on the list of maybes for me, but I'm leaning more Puffin currently, or just continuing with this deck. But we'll have to see. If he becomes top tier ninjas and on hits, yeah, I think Gravy will be bad simply because Ira exists. But I could be wrong. Um, T-Bone is arguably correct to play. Throttle is arguably correct to play. Twin Drive is the one that I am thinking is good right now and is about to be bad in like 2 weeks. Twin Drive probably comes out of the deck, and I think that Chris is right to not play it. You fatigue yourself too fast by playing Twin Drive. It does play into Max V really effectively on like a 3 to 4 card hand instead of like a 5 card Max V hand. But you don't want to like kill yourself too fast because of that. These are just normal. Pen script potentially is really powerful in the upcoming meta, but it's hard to say for sure whether or not this is like correct or not. I would be probably interested in testing this out. Prismatic Lens is bad. 0 to 60 in zipper hits. I personally really like the yellows in this slot, especially zipper hit. I don't really like yellow 0 to 60. Usually in my previous DO lists I would run reds and blues of 0 to 60 only. But if we're looking at a meta where we're fatiguing faster, I would maybe look at this slot as something that is like more flexible. Blues are mostly like sideboard cards and just effective pitch cards, so like T-Bones are auto include for me at this spot. Tekla Pounder is an auto include for the sideboard for me. Throttle Blue just is one of the best blues you can play because it's a breakpoint. Zipper Hit Blue is a spot where I feel like we can effectively look to try and replace it with something else. A 1 for 3 feels pretty bad, but it does block 3 and it is a mech boost card. So hard to say, but maybe this card is a card that we can flex in or out of the deck. And then and then Null Time Zone is a card that I'm not sure how to assess it right now. I think in the upcoming meta, Null Time Zone does potentially a lot or potentially nothing. And so it's really, really hard to say. Does blue zipper or yellow 0 to 60 feel better to keep? Probably yellow 0 to 60 if I would say anything there. But it's also possible that we want more pitch because of like Jarl or like Wizards being better. So it's possible that the blue is better for that reason. Hard to say like 100% guaranteed it's like one way or the other because they're both 3 damage, right? So like face value, the card has 3 power on it, and both have 3 block. It's just evaluating pitch and cost at that point. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think 0 to 60 in current meta, but I'd be open to blue zipper hit in later meta, where like wizards are better. Null time zone feels like it's an awkward spot though, where I'm not sure if it's going to be effective or not going forward. Kind of hard to say. But that's pretty much everything that I was looking through. I think a lot of these lists kind of seem more homogenized than I thought they would be. Um, but yeah, I kind of I'm in this weird limbo state right now where I'm really just waiting. I'm waiting for this page right here to get updated. I need more. I just need more so I know what to do, because I can tell you right now, I want to do whatever this is. I want to do whatever this is real bad. This card looks really cool. I can turn my video capture back on. I'm just chilling here. Yeah, I want to do whatever the Polycranka thing is, like hella bad. That card seems gross and just fun. I also like that I can play a mechanologist that can play like E-Strike and Snatch and defense reactions, on top of things like Cognition Field and some of these like really effective like Galvanize pieces that were kind of forgotten about. Like having access to things like Soup Up. Soup Up's fucking crazy. So I really want to see. I really want to see what happens with mech. So I think I might be in a limbo state for like 2 or 3 weeks after Aurora's gone, and then once we find out more about what is happening with High Seas, I think I'm going to start locking in more towards like specific decks and trying to figure out what I want to do. Null Time is one of those high potential cards in second cycle. You can Null Time Zone lock combos Verdance uses. That's true. So like you can put it into play and name like Rampant Growth. And like it's also pretty solid into wizards, because you can name like Gone in a Flash into Acilio. You can name like yeah, you can name like Thellings. Yeah, you can name like different miscellaneous Kano pieces into Kano, which is also pretty effective. So I think Null Time Zone is one of those spots where it's like its effectiveness depends entirely on what the meta shapes up to be. But if it's like wizard heavy, right, then maybe it's probably fine. If it's not so wizard heavy and we're running into these decks that are like, I don't know, like Syndra or Fi or something like that, where it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna throw cards at the table, then I think Null Time Zone just gets less and less effective. I just want this. I want more cards to be shown. That's pretty much it. I want more cards to be shown. But I gotta get going because I have to make lunch before I go to work. But thanks for hanging out. I appreciate everybody coming in and chilling with me. I'll probably, because I don't work tomorrow. Yo, what's going on? I'm leaving. You came in right at the end. I probably should have told you that I was streaming though. But I will probably be streaming again tomorrow, at least for a little bit. I want to jam some more Aurora games just as practice for Sunday. I have my ProQuest coming up, so getting in some more practice and just kind of jamming some stuff and see how things go. But thank you guys for joining in, hanging out. I will try and fix up the layout, make it look better. If you guys like the VTuber, then I'll leave the VTuber in. I don't really give a shit. Maybe we'll make it look more like me instead of being a VR chat thing. Yeah, sorry. I should have messaged you earlier and said that I was streaming stuff. We got through like a handful of Talishar games that all didn't go too great, but it's all right. All right. thank you for joining in. I gotta go make lunch, and I will chit chat with you guys later. If you're not following, follow. Or I guess subscribe on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know if anybody's watching on YouTube, but if you are, subscribe, and then you can see me live stream on there too. Because I'm trying to do both, because I've noticed that the other guys also do both, and it does pretty well for them. So, thank you guys for joining in. I appreciate it, and I will chit chat with you tomorrow. Cool. Later.